bringing out on this stage is Josh Martin, but you guys know him as Boo. Boo this man! Boo! Give it up for Josh Martin. Come on out, Josh. Josh! They can't hear me backstage. Josh, where are you? Josh!
Go, Boo!
Josh Martin backstage. There we go. There it is. Josh Martin! Boo this man! Boo! There we go. Get it. Let him have it.
Go, Boo! Go, Boo!
All right. Yes. Boo this man. Boo this man.
Turn
All right. Coming up to the stage, we have Mr. Chris Rager. Chris Rager, also known as Mr. Satan. Oh yeah. Satan. Yes. In the middle of the Bible Belt, we got a bunch of people chanting Satan. I love it. All right, next we got coming to the stage, Mr. Kyle Eggbear, aka Adult Gohan. Give it up for Kyle, ladies and gentlemen. There he is. One more time for Mr. Kyle Eggbear. All right, and this next gentleman I'm bringing out, he's always second best. Always a bridesmaid and never a bride. Give it up for Mr. Christopher Sabat, aka Vegeta. And finally, the strongest of all, the Super Saiyan that we all love. Give it up, ladies and gentlemen. Start clapping your hands right now for this gentleman. He is also King Kai. But Goku, give it up for Mr. Sean Schimmel. Get it. Wait, I want to be in it. I'll take it. Give it. Hang on. We're in business. Appreciate that. Thank you. So, hey guys, how's it going? Oh, there we go. We good? Microphone, everybody?
Check.
Check. Testicles.
Help me! All right, so here's
testing.
Right. So before we get started, here's what because people don't believe that you are who you are. So here's what I'm going to get everybody to do. I want everybody to give me one good line from your favorite character on the show. Let me hear it. Let's go.
Testing.
Check. 1, 2, 1, 2. All right. I'm sick and tired of all these light shows and tricks. If you want to fight the champ, you gotta fight me, Joe. Oh yeah. Next time on Dragon Ball Z. I am the Prince of all Saiyans once again. Thank you.
Love, exciting and new. Come aboard, we've been expecting you. Our panel.
I'm going to do the whole song?
That was great.
None of these people have seen that show. I know, you guys, all of you were born after Love Boat.
Yeah, nobody.
All of you.
Nobody but us gets your Love Boat reference.
It was basically a show where you go on a cruise and have sex way too fast with someone and marry them in 3 days on a cruise ship. And then you get off. It's now called Jersey Shore, I think. Right. I don't know.
There's
but
a
that was Love Boat in the 70s.
Who pointed all the time. That's me. I'm the black guy who points. That's what I'm here for.
Hey, if the house could give us more on these monitors, it would really help us.
Yes,
I don't know, because I can't hear my colleagues here very well. That would be great.
Two.
Check.
Okay, so we're going to start all the way down to the end with Mr. Sean Schimmel. Sean, quick question.
Thank you.
Goku was not originally your character. Other dubs exist that we are not talking about today. Tell me it because I said so. That's why. Tell me what it was like to kind of step into that role, because Goku was still very obscure at that point, but there again were other dubs that existed. What did you do to kind of step in and make that character your own?
Well, it was It was surprising to me for the first couple of weeks. I was not aware that I was the lead character on the show.
I may have omitted that.
They didn't tell us that when we auditioned. We just auditioned for a bunch of stuff, and so I'm just like doing my best and making every fight reaction different because I thought that would be cool. And you know, I was definitely referencing Canadian Cast when we took over for them in '99, and listening to it regularly and trying to keep vocally consistent. But it was usually right around. I wanted to be Captain Ginyu, and Chris was like, "No, you're not gonna be Captain Ginyu. Trust me, you're gonna love this part. You're gonna love it. Trust me."
This dude broke every single rule of acting 101. Like, don't call producers to ask them if you booked the role.
Don't do that.
Every day for 2 weeks.
Every day.
Yep.
I was real excited.
And then I offered him Goku, and he goes, "Man, I thought my Captain Ginyu audition."
Yeah, my Captain Ginyu audition slayed. What's up with the Goku part? Apparently, I did very well at that and was unaware of it. I also thought I killed Yamcha more than Goku. I thought I nailed.
Who hasn't killed Yamcha?
But then you called me, and then really what really made it, kind of settle in for me was we'd started at episode 53, and we eventually went back into the first 53. But once we got to the first Super Saiyan transformation, which was a very, very harrowing day for me. A, I was unaware that I'd been doing it that day. B, Chris was unaware that I'd been doing that until like that week. He was like, didn't even know, because we auditioned Sean and all these people. We didn't really audition them screaming, and I didn't know this was coming. Click, roll video, and it's this giant thing. And so I see it and I go, oh my God, I don't know what I'm going to do. So I just, gave it my all, went for it. And then that day when I was done, it was such a transformative experience in the booth for me. And I was just like, it's mine, I'm ready, I'm doing it. Now I know how to do this. I was like, after that day, I was clear on what to do. So it was very transformative for me as an actor that day, to answer your question.
So how many of you, your audition included Chris calling you up and saying, hey, who likes screaming?
No, you weren't even aware, were you, Chris, that there was going to be that much?
I mean, not entirely. We knew it was a big part of it, but of course we didn't have all the materials for the show when we first started dubbing it, so we didn't really know what was going to happen. There were I always had, when I started, was this bag of videotapes that just had this green guy training this kid in the forest, and that was about it.
I got the call from Chris personally. That was cool. That I had tried out 2 weeks earlier for Gohan and some other things, and so it was Chris Sabat Funimation. Really low voice. He's like, we'd like to bring you in. We like your voices, and we're gonna bring you in. So I went in and did some small stuff on the end of the Cell saga, like Mr. Bourbon's game.
Yes.
All that fun stuff. Then a couple months later, they said, "Hey, congrats! You passed the test. You showed up on time. You can take direction. We guess you can match the math flaps good enough that we like your Gohan." So I'm like, "Yeah." That's pretty sweet.
I got a phone call from Barry Watson.
He went like this.
Hey, how you doing, Chris? It was exactly like that.
Oh, Mr. Satan,
you're going part of Hercule. So, this is Barry. That was a thanks.
That was our producer at the time.
So this question, go ahead, Josh.
No, I was just going to say I got discovered by Chris Sabat.
Yeah.
Because you were Barney.
No, I was the.
He was Barney.
Well,
Yeah, he was Barney. But
Chris Sabat
besides
saw
the
me
point.
in a comedy show doing a character called the Pillsbury Homeboy, and at the end of the show, he was like,
I think this was Motion Boo.
So
That's how Chris cast.
I mean, you had to have seen this because the whole thing was the Pillsbury Doughboy, but he's a rapper now, and you got to do I guess you have to do the impression of it.
You have to do it now.
Nothing says loving like the blunts I be puffin'.
I was like, that's Majin Buu.
So, Christopher, did you end up casting yourself? And in casting yourself, were you just like, you know what, I need the people that yell the least?
Yeah, I didn't know what we were getting ourselves into at the beginning. So when everyone else was auditioning, I auditioned for the roles too because they were desperate to find people that could kind of at least somewhat copy these Canadian voices so that when you guys turn on the TV when you were like 6 years old that one day, and all the voices just like dramatically changed, that it wasn't going to be as big of a shock. So when they were going through all the auditions, like, I think I like this guy. I go, well, that's me. He goes, well, you're Vegeta then. I go, he goes, and I like this guy for Piccolo. I go, well, oh, that's me. That's me too. He goes, well, I guess you're Piccolo. And then it just started being like, what other voices can you do? Because you're on salary and we could just get you to do everything and not have to pay you additionally. So, you know, some of
which isn't a joke.
I'm not even kidding. I was working full-time at Funimation back then, and I'm not sure how much of it was that I just booked it because I could sound surprisingly like Brian Drummond, or how much was it like, this guy's going to be really cheap for us. So I guess the joke's on them now.
So do any of you get asked to do kind of weird things with your voices? Like I assume you've been on an airplane before. Has anybody ever asked Goku to do like the pre-flight announcements or?
No, well, they never usually recognize me. I do, as a voice actor, I'm particularly sensitive to how they do their announcements, and I'm sure you guys are too. So every once in a while, I'll hear some flight. I remember this one flight attendant who was trying to sound very professional, and she kept saying, "Gentlemen, please, gentlemen, please fasten your seatbelt, gentlemen." Oh, wait, she said gentlemen, gentlemen. So that stuck with me. And I love how the captain is like, they always coach the captains like they're crashing will never. We're just fine. 35,000 feet. Everything's gonna be fine. We won't die in a horrible fire. We can crash. They're just totally chill, and they're lying.
Yeah, pilots always sound like they're on a bunch of painkillers.
Yeah.
Yeah, they always have that Obama kind of linger before.
Oh yeah.
This is your captain speaking.
We got a little chop coming up, then you get to the chop, and you're like, to him it's chop, to you it's,
So when all of this kind of started, did you guys have any idea how much this would just blow up and just? I imagine to a certain degree, this is just becoming just a huge part of your lives at this point.
It was my whole life, I was working on other shows, but Dragon Ball is an all-consuming thing. It's really weird. I got this asked in Orlando just yesterday, similar question, and what's weird is I don't ever remember thinking like it's going to be a hit, but I wasn't surprised it was a hit, and I wasn't surprised it's doing this, and I'm like, well, yeah, of course. I mean, for me, it's like kind of yeah, of course, but at the same time, when I step back and look at it, I am surprised. But while it was going on, I was like, well, yeah, duh, we're working on a great show. It's great, fine. Like to me, it should be that way. Like I would be shocked if we did a lot of work and it was a bomb. I don't know. Maybe it was my gut intuition or something. What about you, Chris?
Man, I don't know. Like we were so busy working on that show, we weren't really thinking about
that's true,
the success of the show at that point. We were just trying to get it done. Plus, we didn't have the internet back then. We didn't have Twitter, and all these people are giving you instant feedback on the work that you do. So we would record stuff, and someone would go, "Hey, I saw your episode." I'm like, "Oh yeah, I think we recorded that like 3 years ago or something." We were just sort of recording in a vacuum in really sweaty places, and we were just trying to get the work done. And I guess, and when we would go out to conventions, unlike seeing you guys now, we were mostly seeing people who were like 6, 7, 8, 10 years old. We would go most of the fan base was really, really young. And now that you're all in your mid-20s and 30s, we're seeing you all again, and that's when it's been like
dude, we got people naming
impressive.
Their kids Gohan and shit, like they're grandkids. I mean, it's crazy.
Sabbath married people at KamehamehaCon.
That is true.
That's
true.
Oh wow.
Weekend of the month.
I became ordained so that I could marry someone cosplaying as Vegeta and Goku.
In front of an actual life-size Saiyan pod.
Wait, did I say Vegeta and Goku? I meant to say Vegeta. A vastly different wedding ceremony.
I was wondering.
That is a completely different Vegito. That is.
That's the word I'm looking for.
Fusion.
There you go.
Fusion, huh?
This question is for Chris Rager, Mr. Satan.
Yes.
Satan.
Yes.
Mr. Satan.
Mr. Satan. Were you upset when
the chicken Satan?
Were you upset when you found out Mr. Satan wasn't going to be in the new video game?
Look, I don't really want to talk about that right now. Because to me, at this moment in time, like all Dragon Ball Fighter games have had me in it.
Right.
With like a jetpack and some kind of explosive device or a gift or something like that. I want it again. Don't you want it again?
Yes.
All right. Well, let's talk to Bandai.
Have you guys played the game, the new one, Fighter Z?
Yes, absolutely.
Are you any good at it? Or you just like, that's me, more money.
Sean's not really good at it.
I'm not very good at it, but I will be. I will be.
You will be?
Oh yeah.
All right.
Oh yeah.
You trained though, right?
They don't need a part 2.
We both trained. I just didn't get my copy of the game in time.
I remember seeing one time in the video that literally Savin is holding the controller with one hand and like talking to people over here.
Yeah.
Anyway,
It wasn't as much of a like. I actually felt really bad at that time. I'm like, this is like it became pretty apparent pretty quickly that like you hadn't really played it a whole lot.
No, I didn't have it because.
And I was worried at first because they're like, yeah, you got to play on an Xbox controller. I'm like, I don't know how to play an Xbox. I only know how to play on like the PS4. And they're like, sorry, that's all we got. So I thought I was going to be in trouble.
Oh yeah.
Turns out it wasn't. I was okay.
You were, but that's going to change.
Okay, good.
Thanks to spamming the move. Hit this one over and over.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
X button.
Quick question for Sean. When you did scenes with Goku and King Kai, were you able to just kind of shift back and forth between those two characters? Did you have to take a beat?
No, I mean I can jump back and forth pretty quickly, but it's much easier to just do all the Goku lines and then do King Kai last. Because King Kai is a little harder on the voice, and so I just always check it when it's done to make it sound like two different people, because I don't want it to, everybody know. But I just do Goku first,
For technical purposes, we always like to keep one character on the same track, and so if he were to jump back and forth from character to character, it would actually be more difficult.
Well, yeah, and also the engineer has to switch tracks. There's a bunch of other stuff. But if I had to do it, I could. But I'd rather just stick with it until I'm done,
Absolutely. So, ladies and gentlemen, by the way, we are going to open it up to questions in just a little bit. We've got floaters with the mics going around, so if you guys want to start thinking of your questions, feel free to line up and float on. Again, another reference that you're way too young to get. So, if that's the case, Sean, if you're talking about getting better with the game, who's all on your team? Who are the 3 fighters on your team?
My game trainer Justin Wong said I should always play with as many Gokus as possible. So that's probably what I'll do. Is I'll use as many Goku Black, Super Saiyan Goku Sundae Sandwich, Goku Salsa Blue, Goku, all the flavors of the rainbow.
I like to play with 2 Vegetas and Yamcha, because Yamcha is a surprisingly good character.
He really is.
And he's surprisingly disposable as well. Yes. So if I've lost to Yamcha, all right, that's it.
Yeah, it's just Yamcha.
He's used to that.
Yamcha is the red shirt of the Dragon Ball Z universe. He is always he's always the first to go.
My Dragon Ball fantasy, I just realized, is for them. They need to make the anime about Dragon Ball from Yamcha's perspective, and I want you to voice it.
Oh,
sure.
totally.
But I want them to do English dub so you can voice it.
I will do it for free if they don't do it.
This is a real thing. There's an anime, a manga that's told from the perspective of Yamcha, right, Chris?
It's basically like the case of being reborn as Yamcha, and it's about this otaku super fan of Dragon Ball Z who hits his head one day and then wakes up in Yamcha's body at the beginning of Dragon Ball Z with all the knowledge of everything that could possibly happen in Dragon Ball Z, and it makes himself the hero of the story, and it's brilliant. It is so good.
Well, they haven't made an anime yet, but that's my fantasy. That's what I want to see.
Okay, this is a question for Josh. You said that Chris is the one who casted you as Boo. How did he explain that character to you? Did he even try, or is he just like, here's some lines, say it?
The best thing about starting off, I remember Sabat going, all right, basically you're just you're big fat pink baby, and you just want candy. That's it.
Big fat baby.
And then he went on to explain that, and then he morphs off and he splits off and these other things, and my mind was just blown. I didn't know what I had gotten into, but yeah, that's how it was explained to me. Chuck, a kid who likes candy. Baby.
So, from what I'm detecting, am I correct in assuming that all of you have an impression of Chris? Is that
everybody who works at Dragon Ball has an impression of Chris?
Oh well, then now
even the women do.
Now, oh wow,
which is really funny when they do that.
Now I gotta go down the panel. I gotta hear everybody's. I gotta hear it. Josh, we'll start with you. Let me hear your Chris voice again. Go ahead.
Hey Josh, listen, we're doing Dragon Ball Fighters, and I exaggerate a lot. He's not that bad.
It's not too far.
Yeah,
basically, you need to come down to the studio. You know, I mean, anytime is good. I mean, I'm not going to be there, but we'll see. I mean, bye. You know, I'm busy. I got oh, look, something bright.
I was so put a little Barry White on, and I'm in the mood. Yeah, record some Gohan today.
Up next is the most meta impression ever. I want to hear Christopher's
impression of Chris. I'm getting turned on by my own impression. That's weird. Hey, this is Chris. Yeah, look. Hey, can you hold on one second?
Yeah, that's it. Can you hold on one second? That's a good one.
Yeah.
Hang on, my kids.
Sorry, what were we talking about?
My wife is making. Wait, my kids are doing something. Yeah, I gotta go. Kids are going to bed.
Yeah.
So, Chris, talk a little bit more about how when you first started at Funimation versus your role now. Like, when did that start to happen? When did you start taking on more responsibilities? And you know, kind of, were you always trying to be a voice director? Did that kind of...
I mean, the plan when I first came on, I originally auditioned for the part of Yamcha in Sleeping Princess and Devil's Castle. It was this like direct to VHS movie that Funimation did, and about a month later I got a call from Barry Watson, and we all have the same impression. We were like, hey Barry, we're just wondering if you might want to come in and help direct some, cast and direct some Dragon Ball. By the way, we all love Barry. It's just really fun.
He's got a great voice to do.
And so my first job there, while I was training, was basically to just run a DAT machine backup of the session. So
I remember when you fell asleep in a session once. I didn't know him. We were not friends. Like, I did not know him. None of us were friends. We're all friends now, but I didn't know him. And I remember being in a session and go, I had a Chris guy falling asleep. And then I started looking at what you were having to do, and I was like, just go and play and then write a thing down. And then Barry would go, all right, high stakes, do it again. And then the tape machine would go,
it was
no wonder you fell asleep.
It was so boring. It was because he's got a kind of monotonous sort of voice too, and it was impossible. And plus, I was way younger back then. I was staying up way later.
Oh yeah,
too.
Staying up way later.
I was working on 2 hours of sleep every night. But things have changed a lot. I mean, Funimation has morphed into a completely different entity. At first, we were just desperately trying to make a Japanese show into something that would be likable in the United States. And now I work for a company that has 1 billion employees that's really trying to kind of maintain the integrity of everything they work on. And we work on super high-tech equipment. Actually, I've been very fortunate. Funimation's really lucky. They let me record Dragon Ball and the games and stuff like that at my own studio. It's called Okratron 5000. And I get to work with all my favorite people, and we work really fast. As opposed to the old days where it literally could take 2 days just to do an episode at one point. Now we can finish one in 15 minutes. It's really cool.
Is it not that fast?
I mean, it is for
maybe
me.
you.
I don't know.
Okay, so here's a question for the audience. Show of hands and make some noise. How many of you are interested in getting into voiceovers? Anybody? Yeah. That's what I thought.
You should just leave that on.
Right. Might as well. Yeah.
That looks good.
There we go. Yeah. In the blue light, everybody looks better in blue light. Everybody. So my question to the panel, people out here who are interested in getting started in voiceover, do you have any advice, anything to help them out getting started?
Yes, don't.
Says the man with a ton of money from doing this.
Oh, I know. There's not a ton of money. That's my point. It's a very challenging career that unless you land a really big Simpsons-like gig, it's very difficult to make money in voiceover. I'm not going into any specifics, but yeah, there are a lot of people who work for Funimation who have day jobs. Up until recently, I mean, I was still teaching French horn and playing my horn and stuff when I was working on Dragon Ball. Then I worked for Macy's for a while. Now it's been very good since we've been doing it so long, especially the generosity of fans getting our autograph. That is so awesome. That really helps a lot. But most shows all shows Funimation does, and a lot of shows that are dubs or localized dubs don't get residuals, so you make an hourly rate, then you never see another dime, and it's not a crazy high hourly rate. So commercial voiceover pays more, prelay animated series pays more if you're going to work for like Disney or somebody, or a Simpsons-like show. But if you're getting into anime dubbing, you're not going to make very much money at all. It's very challenging.
If you want to be a voiceover person, that's awesome. But it would be very smart if you don't make that like your only focus, because it is shockingly difficult, especially now, because a lot of people want to get into voiceover. A lot of people have their own recording studios at home, and there's websites that are dedicated to just casting that sort of stuff. However, it's a really fun thing and awesome thing to get to do. So you shouldn't necessarily say, I'm not going to try, but just try and be really diverse. Do as much stuff as possible. Like, all of us up here are not just voice actors. We all do a variety of different things. I mean, I guess probably Kyle, you do mostly voice acting now, right?
Yeah.
Like,
But podcasting, we did radio.
Yeah, but it took many, many years of you doing a billion other things before that happened.
Oh, yeah.
And Chris and Josh, they do comedy, and they do a bunch of other things too, and we all had day jobs. So, yeah, and I guess training yourself to be a great actor is a good part of it. I would recommend getting in the industry, like becoming an actor. Chris actually teaches like voiceover classes in Dallas, if you ever happen to be in our neighborhood.
At Vocatron 5000. So
yeah, so
I guess I want to throw in my 2 cents. Is about there's a lot of rejection, a lot of waiting, a lot of self-doubt and all that. So you got to have a thick skin going into this. You have to feel like this is what I'm meant to do. So, at least give it a try and see where it goes. But yeah, like Chris said, keep an open mind. You may discover that you have a knack or a talent or an interest for audio production or editing or directing or writing, adaptation.
Well, that's the other thing, Kyle, I wanted to make a point too, that you just broached, in that I know it's a lot of people who are trying to be actors or voice actors, they have some other job that has nothing to do with acting that they spend 40 hours a week at. Try to get a job that's related. In other words, for example, when Justin Cook, who is our producer now, who is the voice of Yusuke on Yu Yu Hakusho, was working either in a band and doing construction, he got a job just running the board, meaning just running the recordings, and then through that, he's learning about voice acting, he's seeing it's how it's done, he's learning from other voice actors, and then as time goes on, Barry asks him, hey, why don't you audition for the Yu Yu Hakusho show? He gets the lead part, and then he goes, hey, do you want to direct it? He gets that. So this whole time, he's just running the board, being a guy, get a job at the front office of a talent agency, get a job in the recording studio. So 40 hours a week, somebody doesn't show up, they go, hey, you want to lay down a scratch track for this? Because so-and-so didn't show up, and you're at the front office. Then you lay down the scratch track, and you've been practicing at home. You lay down this killer scratch track. Either A, they'll use you, or B, they'll go, you know what, we're still going to bring in the other guy, but you got a great voice. We're going to try you out on something else in the future. Yeah. So it's a slow thing. Little things like that can knit together over time. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
I mean, you guys are lucky you live in Atlanta, and there's a lot of production here. Like, get involved in film and TV and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Yep. Yeah, it's a like-mindedness. Get around those people who want to do those things and create the things that you want to create, and next thing you know, you're creating things together. Josh, and that's how we started. We started doing comedy and improv and sketch comedy, and that led into us developing characters.
And it's 1,000 times easier for you guys now because of YouTube and iPhones. Like, I can do auditions on my phone, and with certain algorithms and software, I can do it in almost any shitty environment almost. But with YouTube and stuff and self-publishing, and man, there's so much opportunity for everybody nowadays that we did not have. It's really great.
Quick question for Sean. I heard a rumor that at one point while doing Goku, you passed out. Is that true?
Super Saiyan 4 Kamehameha Dragon Ball GT.
Really?
Not Super Saiyan 3. That was not a problem. Although I did have to I had to cut a few screams together. I can scream for a long time. I don't know that I don't think I can scream for 2 minutes straight. I don't think I can. But we do a technique where, and this is why it helps to have a background in music and help have a background in sound, is we do a technique where I will scream as long as I can, and because I'm a musician and can match pitch, I'll start screaming again at that same pitch right at it as it ends, and then the audio engineer will edit them together and make it one long giant scream. But I will say a good portion of them, because I'm proud of them, are legitimately long screams. But some of them are edited together, and that's another part of my musical training that helped me be a better voice actor. They all feed into each other, so it's very helpful in that way. Yeah, but no, not in Super Saiyan 3.
Okay, one more question, and I'm going to open it up to the floor. And this is obviously the big question. What projects do you guys have coming up that you can talk about? Anything that you can talk about?
There's a show we're working on called DragonBall Super, which is on Cartoon Network on Saturday night.
Really? Never heard of it.
And we're supposed to do a new movie, hopefully at the end of the year, maybe early next year. We don't know yet. And I've got some other projects I can't talk about. I know Kyle's working on some stuff. Chris, I know you're working on everything.
So you guys have, just so we're clear, you have not started the dubs for the movie. That's the end of Super. Okay.
Oh, no, not at all. No,
all right,
not anywhere near it.
All right.
Sorry. Great show that I'm working on right now is called My Hero Academia, and so I guess you've heard of it. It's on TV now, which is pretty impressive. there's just so many other things. I'm doing a lot of voices in a game called Smite and Paladins and stuff like that. Those are all produced actually out here in Atlanta, which is pretty cool.
I do a lot of stuff that ends up on the Toonami block on Saturday nights. Besides Dragon Ball, there's Hunter x Hunter. I voice Moral. I voice Kakyoin on JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, Stardust Crusaders. Naruto Shippuden. Kiba's still around there. Inuichi. Yeah, that's the current lineup.
Basically, I don't know, watch Funimation channel. If there's an anime at Funimation, in some way or another, I'm in it. I died in it very quickly in some way. I mean, you name it, I'm in the show somewhere. So I don't even remember all the names. Just pay $6, get Funimation channel. Come on. Come on, do it. Let's go, people.
I'm in a Beastie Boys tribute band called Rhymin' and Stealin'.
It's really good.
I do MCA's part, thank you, Chris. And, you know, I get to keep doing Boo and keep coming to these conventions, and I got kids. I got kids, y'all. Yeah, and a wife and a family, and I love them, and I love y'all. Thanks for having me.
All right, let's bring up the house lights a little bit, can we? And we're going to start with some questions. So house lights just a little bit more, please.
Oh, can we start?
All right, go ahead.
All right, so I know I'm one of those nerds who watches the behind the scenes footage.
Hang on just a second. Front of house, can you guys put him in the monitor, please?
Yeah, the mic on this, the audience mic is not going through the monitor.
It's not?
No. All right. Go ahead and test it, audience member. Yes.
Testing.
Audience member A.
All right.
Testing.
Keep going, yeah, keep talking. That's the first rule of voice acting, bro. Keep talking.
7 years ago, our founding fathers.
All right. We're good. All right, what's your question?
Okay, so most of the time I've noticed that when you guys are in the booth, you're in the booth alone and recording your lines. Do you think that if you had other voice actors with you in the booth, that it would make a difference at all, or would it just be this?
It would make it much harder.
Really?
But you're trying to match a picture.
Yeah, we have to match flaps.
Oh.
But if you're not matching flaps, it makes it easier. Yeah, if you're doing a prelay show.
Oh.
Yeah, it would be awesome to be able to work off of other actors. It would just be a very expensive, long process to bring everyone in.
Right. That's why the director's so critical on dubs, even more so than I think in prelay shows, because that guy or whoever's directing it has to mentally keep track of where everybody's thoughts are, so that when he listens it down at the end of the day, it sounds like people are talking to each other because they're not in the booth together.
If you want to know what it sounds like for people to record together on anime, just watch the Japanese version and see how well it matches the mouth movements.
Oh, yeah, because it doesn't.
They dub their own stuff.
Okay.
Yeah, they got their own problems to deal with, for sure.
Just a quick question to anybody in line asking a question. Are any of you asking marriage proposals? Anybody?
Hi.
Hi. What's your name?
Wyatt.
Hello, Wyatt.
Hello, Wyatt. I wanted to ask you guys a funny question. If you could turn Dragon Ball Z into a sitcom, what would you want it to be like?
It'd be Vegeta and Yamcha sharing an apartment somewhere.
Like bosom buddies?
Yes, exactly.
Josh and I always thought it'd be great to have like a Boo and Satan, like the Odd Couple, like a little, vignette, little mini show, little offshoot show there,
You could be in our show.
Yeah, we could be like your neighbors.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, this is great. We love it.
Boo, do the dishes. Boo,
don't clean. I'm so hungry.
Well, yeah, Great Saiyaman will join like Arrow or Flash. Get his own spin-off.
Yeah, but they'll all be pissed at him because he never wants to fight, right? So Arrow's like kicking Gohan's ass.
He's doing homework.
He'd rather study.
Oh, man.
My fantasy has always been for Goku to get hit on the head and get all his evilness back, and then Vegeta has to teach him how to be nice. I don't know, you open the door for people, or say thank you, or like he's trying to give him etiquette terribly, when Vegeta's now the nicest guy in the crew, because he's a total asshole now.
It just dawned on me the other day, someone asked me, they go, why haven't they ever wished Planet Vegeta back?
Yeah, I think I asked you that.
And I was thinking about how awkward it would be if Vegeta had to stand up in front, like they did wish Planet Vegeta back, and he had to make a speech to everyone like, well, as your prince, okay, this is going to come as a bit of a shock because you guys have been dead for a very long time. We're all very nice now. Our one way of making money going to people's planets and destroying them and then selling them to other people. We don't do that anymore. And we have to keep the children that we have and live with a woman in their house. So, no, I am very serious right now. No, you can't kill anyone. Not even one person. Okay, one person, they'll forgive me for that. That's it. So yeah, that would be a serious problem if they ever brought Planet Vegeta back. Next question.
What are your favorite 80s and 90s animated series, and is there any sort of dream project that you guys would like to work together on, like an episode of Family Guy? You know,
He-Man. Sorry, I was doing my 80s answer. You weren't done. Sorry, I spazzed out. Keep going. I was thinking about He-Man. Sorry.
Thank you for your question, Hannibal Buress.
Yes, thank you. That's what I was thinking also. I met him, by the way. I met Hannibal Buress at the Fife Festival. I was there at a concert. I walked right by him, just shook his hand, said, "You're hilarious." He goes, "Thank you." Thank you. That's what he did. It was great. It was great. So what was your question? About 80s and 90s shows that we like, and then what was the second part?
Like a dream project you guys like to work on.
Dream project you'd like to work on.
Take over an episode of Family Guy. You know, it's Quagmire and Peter.
That's like 6 questions.
80s and 90s.
Let's do that one. Favorite 80s and 90s cartoon.
Like anime or like just cartoons? Whatever?
Yeah.
Oh man, like when we were growing up with Saturday morning cartoons, man, it was like you were like bombarded every Saturday morning with the most wonderful of all cartoons.
It was like
man.
Christmas every Saturday in the 70s, for me anyway, because there was no other good TV on other than Saturday morning cartoons. Now you guys got everything.
Yeah, it was almost like the internet got turned on only on Saturday mornings. Just
Yeah, for us.
that
That was what it was like in the 70s at least. I would get watching Scooby-Doo and Speed Racer and Speed Buggy, Super Friends, Batman and Robin,
The Smurfs.
I love the Smurfs.
I love the Smurfs. I watch Ninja Turtles every day. Yeah. Animaniacs, absolutely. Animaniacs, yeah, absolutely.
Oh, definitely.
One of the best ever.
G.I. Joe.
G.I. Joe. Knowing's half the battle, the other half is the battle. That's really how that goes. I think I put that in a game as an outtake for a Dragon Ball Xenoverse game, and then they printed it and it had it on the screen like a Goku's head saying, "Remember, knowing's half the battle, and the other half is the battle." That's the best part. You know.
All right, next question.
How are
We
you
need to
doing?
answer the dream project part, but that's okay, I guess.
This is for Sean and Chris, actually.
Which Chris?
There's like 6
Mr.
Chris's
Sabat,
up
actually.
here.
How
cool,
did
man. That's
being
cool.
cast for
I got you
Yu Yu
over you.
Hakusho coming back?
Say it one more time.
I said, how did being cast for Yu Yu Hakusho come about?
Oh, we had just finished working on Dragon Ball. Were you in Yu Yu Hakusho?
I was in Yu Yu Hakusho, but I was not part of the casting or anything. I just played Mr. Roto and the teacher that kills the main character, and that's it.
Yeah, we had just finished working on Dragon Ball. Actually, we were still doing some of the movies at that point, and they picked up Yu Yu Hakusho. And at that time, my engineer, Justin Cook, they're like, "Why don't you be the director of this?" I'm like, "Yes, thank you." It was a great show, but I was exhausted after Dragon Ball Z directing all that time. And yeah, we just kind of came in and we're like, "What? Something new? That's awesome." So that's it. It wasn't like this. They didn't have this giant unveiling of the Yu Yu Hakusho logo at the office. They're like, "Well, guys, we got a new show. It's called Yu Yu Hakusho. Justin wants you to do that."
There you go.
Alright, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, next question.
Hi, big fan of your work, all of you guys. My question is, since in the beginning, for all the different Dragon Ball series you've done, I know you've done many dialogues and many lines that you have to do. So my question is, which story arc from any of the Dragon Ball series that you have done that you enjoy speaking to or reading the lines the most?
I think I understood.
I bet you Josh probably likes the Boo Saga.
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
I like the Boo Saga.
Because he's not in the other sagas.
That saga had your name all over it.
Yeah.
Thank goodness.
I too was a fan of the Boo Saga. That kind of brought my character to a little more well-roundedness and not so much of a jackass.
I like the Great Saiyaman. Well, I won't lie. But the Boo Saga as well, you got to see Gohan really starting to reach his potential. Then he got gimped. But other than that,
It's all about Majin Vegeta as far as I'm concerned, like the whole Majin battle between he and Goku, Vegeta sacrifice, all that good stuff. That's my favorite.
My favorite arc is what I call the entire Goku Vegeta arc, because I feel like that's the whole. I discovered this after doing Resurrection F and Battle of Gods. I was like, I think I like the whole. I mean, it's an expansion of the Majin thing Chris is talking about, the Majin Vegeta thing. But for me, it's like this whole, and it's carrying on in Super when they're training with Whis and Beerus, and they're competing with each other and they're bantering like angry siblings. That whole story arc is that whole thing is fascinating to me. Even though it's not an official arc, I guess that's called Dragon Ball Z.
Next question.
I want to thank you for coming to Atlanta.
What is this? That's great.
He's just close to it. Ladies and gentlemen, just a quick note: when you ask your questions, make sure to get to the mic as close to the mic as possible. I know for some of you it's odd to hear your own voice, but
you sound great.
Make sure to eat the mic. Go ahead. You are perfect. Don't change a thing.
That's the mic. That's the problem, though.
Yeah, that mic's not working great.
Okay.
Go ahead, sir.
My question specifically for Sean and Chris Sabat.
Good.
So I've heard a story about a kazoo. Could you tell me a bit more about that?
I'm going to start this story because Chris knows I talk fast. I'm going to start the story. Chris is going to interject and finish it probably. But basically, when I used to fly back in the day, and I got real mad at hotels for charging too much on my card, so I would just make it to Chris. I said, look, I don't have credit cards. I don't mess with credit cards. I don't like credit cards. If you want to fly me out to come to Texas to do Dragon Ball, you got to get my hotel situation sorted, and then I'll show up and pay you whatever I got to do. So Chris, being the prankster that he is, he decides to get my hotel room card and sneak into. Well, he tells Brina Valencia to sneak into my hotel room while I'm gone and put random weird shit in my room, such as a yellow kazoo in my pants pocket on the floor. Several other things, weird condoms that I would never use in my suitcase, like Funky Time condoms, and like I'd never even heard of those before. I'm like, oh, these are gonna break for sure.
They were cheap.
Yeah, and then like gold coins, like weird, and then they took them. I was doing martial arts at the time. They wrapped up my obi and wrapped it in a rubber band, and put hand sanitizer in my laundry, which was actually clean laundry, by the way. It was just out. I'd gotten it all out on the couch. And then, so I went to the session one day, and then I came back, and I went back to get my keys, and this is after they all done that, and I reach in my pants pocket, there's a kazoo, and I'm like, what the And I'm thinking, did I have any friends over last night? I go, no. And I was going, and so I go full on House, because I was watching House, and I'm all doctoring, I'm figuring it out. So I get to work, and Chris, knowing this is gonna happen, has a recording device going. So I come and go, Chris, and then Chris, you can tell what I did.
You're not gonna believe this, man. Someone snuck in my room. I know it's weird. Someone snuck in my room and put a kazoo in my pants. I go, come on, you're messing with me.
Totally straight-faced he was.
And he goes, no, I'm serious. I mean, look, unless you did it. And I go, how could I have done that? We were working together. And he goes, well, I guess that you're totally in the clear now.
Yeah. And then I wrote a note. I assumed that using Occam's razor, I had to deduce that it had to have been the housekeeping staff. And I'm not trying to be profiling here, but the housekeeping staff was Hispanic because I tried to talk to one of them and they only spoke Spanish. So I wrote a note using Google Translate in Spanish and left it on my desk that said, and it was so funny because I remember translating, why did you put the kazoo in my pants? It said, like, kazoo la pantaloons. And I remember translating it, and I said, why did you do this? Well, I don't understand what's going on. I wrote it all down in Spanish, took a picture of it, and neglected to put any contact information so they could tell me why, if they were decided to come clean, to be honest. Then I went to the management office, which Chris had called in advance and said, okay, Sean's a little crazy. He's going to go obsess on this.
Because he told me, he's like, I'm going to get to
the bottom of this. And I said, look, I'm not mad at anybody. I just really want to know how this happened. I'm fascinated by it. I really want to understand this puzzle. I mean, to me, it was just like a Rubik's Cube I had to solve. I never solved it until Chris got distracted on a panel, and I think he forgot to tell the audience, hey, don't tell Sean this. Because this is a couple years this is going on. Chris kept this prank going for a couple of years. Somebody tweets me, this panel he's on where he admits it. I think Carrie Savage had come in and distracted him or something. He was mid-story. And then I found out, and I was really disappointed because I didn't want to find out that way. I think the fan thought they were doing me a favor.
I think this story's missing the recording device.
Oh, the recording device. The best part's the recording device.
Well,
So,
on another trip.
on another trip he did this, but I didn't realize this. So here's the weird part. On another trip, I never really checked my computer bag for the stuff, the accessories I put in. I just leave it in my bag. I don't like go through my bag when I get home. So I get home, I haven't gone through my bag, and my neighbor calls me, and she goes, "Hey, Sean, I'm locked out of my apartment. Can I hang out with you for a while until my other roommate gets home?" And I'm like, "Sure." So we're hanging out. She goes, "Do you have a charger for an iPhone?" I go, "Well, I have an Android phone. I have an iPhone now, but I might have a charger for another device that will work on this." And I think it was for my iPad or something. So I go digging through my bag, get a charger, and I find a tape recorder, like a micro cassette recorder that I have not seen since college. And I go, "What the hell is this?" And I play it, and I hear someone speaking in Spanish on it, right? So I didn't even think that it was like the cleaning lady or whatever leaving me a note with a tape recorder. So it says in Spanish, you ever hear the kazoo? You hear the kazoo going, then you hear in Spanish, "The kazoo is here, the kazoo is everywhere." I'm sorry. Now the only way I know this in Spanish is my next door neighbor was Puerto Rican, and so I'm playing and go, "Hey, you're Puerto Rican, you speak Spanish?" She's like, "Yes, I do." I go, "What does this say?" And I made her listen to it like 4 or 5 times. "What's it say? We're gonna find out. We're gonna find out." I was like serious as hard as we're gonna find out. And I'm like astounded. I had a shrine. I have a shrine now that's got my autographed Piccolo action figure, a kazoo, the kazoo, and that tape recorder sitting in my apartment. It's my Chris Savage shrine. It's an autographed Piccolo action figure he gave me when I moved to New York in 2001 or 2. I still have because I'm a big Piccolo fan. But anyway, that all happened with the tape recorder. Freaked me the fuck out. It was crazy. It had a bunch of college lectures on the other side. I listened to both sides of that tape. I was digging.
Oh, I know, because I intentionally, it was Brina Palencia, because I met her for breakfast and then had her record this stuff, but I intentionally recorded on one side, flipped the tape over, and rewound it all the way to the other side, so he had to have gone all the way through one side.
And then I thought, is someone recording my conversation? Like, it was very exciting.
And man, we had a plan. If he hadn't found out about it, there was one more part of the plan where we had taken pictures, and gosh, if I could, it's in an archive somewhere. We took pictures of all the stuff that we had done in his room, and I was going to create this elaborate tableau in his room of stream
I had made evidence photos. I took pictures of all the photos as evidence. I go, "Here's my evidence," and I would show the hotel.
Currently, I met the people at the hotel later on. You're like, "Oh my gosh, you're the kazoo guy?"
Oh yeah.
It's this joke around a hotel now for us to hide something in somebody else's clothing or whatever, and it's a big joke of like if you.
But that staff was passing kazoos to each other as a staff because we used that hotel when I used to go to Texas to record Dragon Ball, and I was staying in the same hotel every time, so they knew me. They knew I was coming in to record Dragon Ball, and they said when I was not there, they would they would hide kazoos in each other's jackets or whatnot, well, as they're part of their fun at work. So it was kind of a phenomenon that paid it forward. I've got 3 or 4 kazoo t-shirts fans have made me that say the kazoo is here, the kazoo is everywhere. I'm sorry, with a drawing on a kazoo hanging up in my closet. I really need to wear them to conventions. I don't think they fit right though. I'm not sure. But that is the kazoo story, pretty much in its entirety, I think. Is it not? That's how Chris pranks.
I've never actually heard it from your perspective before.
You haven't? Oh yeah. No, I was like housing out. I was like fascinated. Like I was just like this. I felt like I was on it's almost like you ever watch a TV show where some kid finds out he's the one, or finds a crystal in his room and he goes on a quest. It was like that. Like, oh, this is like something alien. Something's happening.
I have been chosen.
Yeah, I've been chosen. Oh, it was great.
Wow. Next question. Thank you, Wyatt. What's your name?
Lucas.
Hello, Lucas. Get close to the microphone, Lucas.
I had...
Closer!
Sorry. I have 2 really quick questions.
Nope, one question. We got.
He said quick question.
One question. Let's go.
That's what he said.
I know there's a movie coming out after Dragon Ball Super, but what's after that? Is there going to be another series that y'all know of, or is that going to be it?
I mean, I heard about that Dragon Ball Heroes thing that might happen on the internet, but I don't know if that's a Toei thing or what. We don't know what's going on with it.
There's no word of anything beyond Super.
Yeah, not anything serious yet.
We know nothing.
Honestly, we don't.
All right, excellent. Next question.
Hello. So,
what's your name?
My name is Sam.
All right, what's up, Sam? What's your question?
and I was asking, when it comes to recording Dragon Ball Super, what is something when recording that you guys have enjoyed a lot, or working on it entirely that you've enjoyed more than doing Z or anything back then?
Are you talking about other shows or other parts of Dragon Ball?
Dragon Ball Super,
super different from Z as far as.
Yeah, like pretty much like working on it entirely. Like whatever you enjoyed about working on Super compared to anything in the past, pretty much.
I like that Boo and Satan's relationship is kind of getting fleshed out a little more, and get to see some more of that.
Yes. More of that, please.
Yes, more Boo and Satan.
Yeah, I'm with those guys. I love all the other angles of Dragon Ball that you see, like Vegeta going on vacation, which cracked me up. You know, I think Battle of Gods and Resurrection F are my two favorite things I've ever done in my whole career that I'm the proudest of. Like, that's the best work we've all ever done, in my opinion. I think it's just spectacular. I think Super's on that level as well. I love all the new characters. I love Beerus and Whis a lot. I love all the new ideas they're bringing in. I love that the show moves faster. I like comedy a lot, so I love Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z. And Dragon Ball Z is great. We all love it. But there is a lot of 2 weeks of I'm stronger than you. No, I'm stronger than you. No, I'm stronger than you. Then they finally fight. And so the show moves faster. You get a good amount of powering up and fighting, a good amount of comedy. The animation looks better. To me, Dragon Ball Super is my favorite series so far.
Quick question regarding that. Whose decision was it to bring in James Marsden as Zamasu?
Who?
Spike from Buffy. On Cartoon Network, he's Zamasu.
Oh, actually, David did that.
Okay.
Yeah, so he's a super. James Marsters? Oh, the guy. He was in Dragon Ball Evolution. He was in the movie.
No, on Cartoon Network, he's Zamasu.
No,
the dude that was Spike, yeah, from Buffy.
I was there. Yeah, so yeah, he's actually he doesn't go to a whole lot of conventions, but his name is David, and he's a super intense, awesome, very private kind of guy though, and I think he just killed it as Zamasu.
All right, next question. No, we're back over there.
Hello.
We got time for one more question over there. Go ahead.
Hello, my name's Jonas, and this question is for Mr. Sabat, but everybody else can feel free to answer.
Feel free if you guys want to, but it's mostly for me.
Okay.
Right.
Duly noted.
Well, thank you so much.
Look, I'm just going to take it.
I know that you're pretty active on social media, and on plenty of occasions you've actually messed with your daughter using your voices. I was wondering if any of the cast is going to use their voices for evil by tormenting their children or embarrassing them in public.
I just recently posted a thing that Schimmel had always said, you know, you should post these videos of Mr. Saiyan like being a dad. And I have an 11-year-old daughter, and so I posted just one recently on Twitter. Got about like 30,000 views. You should check it out. It's I just used this mask that this guy made me. That's a Mr. Satan mask head thing, and I just crept up on my daughter, and she was watching a TV show or something on the computer. I'm like, "Hey, Fidel, have you done your homework?" And she's like, "I don't have any homework." I'm like, "Go do your homework." And I sort of walk away. She goes, "My name's not Fidel." I'm like, "Go do your homework."
Her line delivery is so good, though. She does that. That's like really well acted, particularly on her part. Like, she just like, "My name's not Fidel, Dad." Like, she totally sells it straight. It was really good.
If Chris was your dad, you'd probably have to be a pretty good actor. Like,
yes, you would. He would have. Yeah. I know what you're doing. You better act. You better not lie to me.
Yeah, my kids aren't too scared of my voice. I don't really raise my voice up too much, but if I ever have, like a couple of times, like no, you have to go to the potty. You know, they take me very seriously. They shit their pants right there. Like,
oh my God!
It was James Marsters, by the way, whose IMDb has him listed as Zamasu.
No, it's David Gray.
Oh, yes. IMDb.
Right.
Yep. Spike. Yeah, Spike from Buffy. They have him listed as Zamasu.
I
understand.
Like,
you were there, right? I'm just relaying information. All right. Last question over here.
Hello.
Hi.
Hello.
So I have a quick question.
What's your name?
Oh, hello. My name is Greg.
Correct.
Anyways, my question is have you guys ever heard of the All Systems Goku podcast?
Do you know, you're the second person in 2 days who've asked me about that. I'm very interested.
So it's two editors from GiantBomb.com who have only absorbed it, or who have absorbed DBZ through pop culture throughout the years. So they're sitting down every week and watching 5 episodes of Kai, and it's hilarious. They're constantly comparing it to pro wrestling. They're fixating on goofy lines like when Goku was in the healing take and Vegeta goes, "That's right, boys, Mondo, cool." Stuff like that, you know?
I heard that they're not 100% sold on Vegeta just yet. So
no, they are all in on Vegeta. He's the favorite, absolutely.
Okay, good.
And the constant trashing of Yamcha week to week to week to week.
Well, I guess I have a new podcast. All Systems Goku, right?
Yes, it's on the Giant Bomb website.
That's awesome.
That's cool, man.
Excellent. Well, thank you guys so much for hanging out with us this hour, but that has been the Dragon Ball Legends panel. Give it up one more time.